Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday. I forgot to take my pills. I still have coffee from yesterday. All the things. All the things. Anyways, if there is one truth, we're going to do the soul truth cards today, but there is one truth in this entire world. I was not meant to be a blonde. The things you do, right, for your hair colors. I'm still letting it rest, but also I'm still trying to decide what I want. But the pink you see in there is not me. It's just, it wouldn't come out. And I don't want to bleach my hair again. So I bleached it once. The rest of it, I was just using a color remover. But yeah, I don't want to wreck my hair. So seen too many scary fails to do that. So anyways, so Muddy can't come on today, and I know she loves Peter Max, just like older sibling loves Peter Max, so we're going to save Peter Max for tomorrow, but also we're going to wish Muddy's dad, Papa Bruce, a happy 90th birthday. How exciting is that? 90 years old. 90 years old, still kicking, still going, still doing all the things. They could use some prayers too, because his wife has dementia, so, you know, all the things. But, so yeah, we're going to do the Soul Truth Self-Awareness card. So we're going to take a deep dive. And as usual, I got distracted. I had 6 minutes before the show. I was going to pull a card beforehand. And I got distracted by everything possible between me and the actual goal. So, good morning, older sibling. Oh, look, there's one right there. How can I be more flexible right now? Ooh. That's a good one. Ooh, and what am I grateful right now? All right. Oh, and here's one more. Am I in my head or in my heart? I don't know if we're going to get to all these, but for some reason they were just all like, ooh, look at us. But anyways, the first one, how can I be more flexible right now? So flexibility, first and foremost, is hard for a lot of people because, I mean, it's like, so I don't always want these to go back to, you know, trauma stories and trauma controlling. But a lot of times people that are doing these cards have had some kind of upending experience in their life, you know, no matter what it was. And that doesn't diminish the significance of it to you or to, you know, your healing. But trauma comes in all shapes and sizes. Okay, it comes in, you know, what some people might say, really, that's your problem? Don't ever judge someone's trauma or their issues, okay? Because what may be normal to somebody who has had a really long trauma story may be nothing to them, but it is to that person. So instead of saying, oh, is that it? Be compassionate, be kind, because you know, a lot of us have carried a lot alone for a very long time, and people have reached out to us to help us. Right? And our job is to reach out and help them. Not, you don't have to splash it all over the internet like I do, but just in your everyday life, be there for people, show compassion, show empathy, so show kindness. But no matter what it is that makes you rigid and unable to go with the flow, sorry, I have pockets today, but they're everywhere than where they should be. So I also have my coffee from yesterday. How about that? I did so much work yesterday at Starbucks. I didn't finish my coffee. I was also drinking a ton of water. But anyways. Yeah, well, as older sibling says, the older you get, the more set in your ways you are. This is true. But when it comes to healing, this is something that you need to move through. Because being set in your ways doesn't mean you're right. You know, if it's something you haven't healed. Because a lot of times we just hold on to things because it is so regimented, and it's how it's always been, right? And so Dad and I watched the movie Hidden Figures the other day, and you know, they're all like, you know, and of course, you know, it's about Katherine Johnson and the other ladies whose names I'm sorry I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was mostly her story. Three brilliant women, like really 3 brilliant women who fought hard to be seen in the really kind of the newborn stage of NASA. It wasn't even called NASA yet. So, oh, I see. So older sibling says, no, I was talking about flexibility. This is, but it still goes the same way. And that's what I mean. It's like, I know that for me, the way I read that, and I'm not sure exactly what it is you're intending to say, and I apologize for that, but when we learn to control things, being flexible gets harder. Okay. And I don't mean, like, hi, I can do a backflip. Okay. We're talking about the not the literal, physical sense, but the figurative flexible, the other one. Okay. So, I don't know how to put that. I probably just completely messed that up and blew it out of the water. But anyways, I am going to read this. But like I said, sometimes when we do get set in our ways, regardless of whether it's controlling or being flexible, we're just hindering ourselves, and what I was saying about Hidden Figures is, the reason I was talking about Katherine Johnson is because, first and foremost, genius, graduated high school at 14, just a math whiz. She saw numbers and they showed a story. I see numbers and that's all they are. I love numbers. And I'm often jealous of people with minds like that because they turn numbers into stories. They turn numbers into action, right? And it was numbers that got us into space. So, but they asked, the boss asked the one guy, well, blah, 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 why isn't she? And it's like, well, that's always how it's been. That's getting stuck and set in your ways. Because that's how it's always been. Until somebody comes along with a sledgehammer and says, nope, not anymore. We need progress here. We need change. We need to do all the things. And do all the things we should. Okay. So, how can I be more flexible right now? What are you trying to control? Maybe it's time to let go, let love move through you today, and trust the outcome will be for your highest good. I feel like this is validation. Sincere validation for something I'm going to talk to a sibling about. I told you guys she keeps waking up at 3:23 in the morning or at night, whatever you want to call it. And I've been trying to figure it out for like 4 days now to no avail until, and I kept having an answer hit my brain, and I kept overthinking it because I figured, no, it can't be that easy, can it? It can't be that simple. It was. So anyways, but yeah, so I feel like this is, trust your higher good, let love and compassion and empathy move through you today and trust the outcome will be for your highest good. Okay. Today's soul action. Remind yourself all day long that you are safe, that life is happening for you and that you are not alone. Then do some yoga. Seriously, I'd hurt myself if I tried yoga without anybody's expertise. So, although I really have wanted to try yoga, I feel like I heard it's very relaxing and calming, but if you can't do yoga, meditate, all right? Do the ha breathing. Remember, 7 in, hold for 7, 7 out, hold for 7. You don't have to hold your breath on the second one. The second hold, but it's just, wait for 7 seconds before you start again and then do it 7 times, which I know for a lot of people is difficult. And like I said, I don't want you to pass out. So if you need to, just do it like 3 or 4 times and then call it a day and work your way up, just work your way up. But yeah, what are you trying to control? What are you trying to control? I had an interesting dream last night, and there was this one person that just kept yelling and yelling and yelling. And the first thing I said in my head or out loud in my dream, which was in my head, I said, that's not why they're mad. They're mad at something else. They're letting off steam and I don't know what it's about. And so, and I can understand that because a lot of times that's what we do. We let it build until poof. And then, unfortunately, it kind of sprays everybody in the direction that is, everybody in front of you in that verbal, window or that verbal space. And then everybody gets it, right? Or maybe you're in your car and, you've been holding stuff in and, one guy cuts you off by accident and it ruins your whole day. Or just because they're an asshole because drivers suck. And then it ruins your whole day, right? So, letting go of control it can be hard. It can be especially hard if you've had a trauma story. But whether you've had a trauma story or not, you need to let it go. You need to let go. Because if you don't, it is going to eat you alive. It is. And you are going to have these outbursts. And it's going to hurt the people around you. But not only does it hurt the people around you, it's going to hurt you. Because when you finally come back into your body after having that, deranged out-of-body experience, you're going to realize, oh shit, I just hurt a lot of people and now I got to do damage control. And, even after they are okay, you're still holding on to the guilt because it's like, how do I stop this? And the only way to really kind of stop this, and I'm not saying that you're always going to stop it or it's going to stop forever or, that you're just going to get a grasp on it like that. Maybe you will. I did not. I still sometimes get tense like this. And instead of taking a deep breath and trying to figure it out, sometimes I just like unleash. And it's not as bad as it used to be. But, I kind of catch myself as it's happening. It's like, whoa, I'm really sorry. And then I do, my about face and I do my apology round. And then I feel guilty about it for several days. But that's becoming less and less. Older sibling has been very patient when it has happened. And, I know I need to journal more about that. So that's where we're going now, to the journal. Yeah. And I know it feels like homework, guys, but you can go down to the Dollar Tree or wherever your dollar store is. I saw one I was watching a walking tour on YouTube in London, and they have, I guess they're called pound stores or quid stores. I don't know what they're called, but they're basically dollar stores. Okay. And yeah, and I don't know what you have there, but here we have like literally a $5 journal. I mean, this is my journal. $5. Believe it or not, the sticker costs as much as my journal. But it was cute. It's a little ramen cat. I don't know. It's kind of my weird obsession right now. Just, kitty cat sitting in ramen bowls. Probably because I like ramen and I love cats. I don't know. But I mean, come on. And this one right here. Like, I think this one might have been $5, but I think it was like $3 or something like that. But my point is that if you're sitting there going, well, I don't have the money for an expensive journal, Facebook Marketplace, okay? Facebook Marketplace on my birthday. I got this one, which comes in a pretty box for like, let me see all my tabs, for like $10. That was my birthday present to myself. But it, never been used. The person's like, I'm going to sell this. And thank you. I will give it a good home. But I mean, and when people know you love to journal, you start getting them as presents. And they make pretty things. Eileen did this for me. She made me a Mary Poppins, put my name on it. She was a little unhappy about the way this happened, but I loved it. It seems like me, But yeah, so I'm not sitting here showing off my journals. I'm sitting here letting you know you can find these things. This was like $2. All right? There are no excuses. There are no excuses. And I'm telling you, as hard as it can be, because you might say, well, I don't know how to journal. Journaling is doodling. It's taking your mind off of whatever it is and then allowing yourself to just kind of open up until you start writing stuff. But it is your personal space. It is your personal space. You can journal on your phone. So that way, if you don't feel like writing, you can talk it out. You can just talk to your notes section, or you can send yourself a text message. I actually have myself saved in my phone as one of my top contacts that I text all the time because I send myself stuff all the time. And sometimes I have ideas. Sometimes I see something online that I don't want to get lost in the social media ether, and I send it to myself. So there's a lot of different ways around. Okay. Next week, and I don't know why I haven't done this before, but next week we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive into ADHD. Okay. For no other reason than we've never talked about it before. And I think it needs to be talked about because there seems to be quite a lot of people out there that have it. And there's a lot in there that makes a lot of sense. Okay. But this is also why the reason I bring that up is whether you've been diagnosed or not, sometimes we kind of lose track and we squirrel hard. And like for me, for instance, like I said, I had 6 minutes before the show started and I was still late. But journaling you know, and journaling doesn't have to be, you know, just this rigid writing stuff, right? I have everything in here. I have my nephew's graduation announcements, my niece's graduation announcements, stickers. I have my uncle's, you know, funeral announcement in here. I have the first time I ever tried Japanese dark chocolate, and when I went fishing, and when we were on the cruise and we won our Broadway trivia, and you know, my favorite outfit from that trip. So it's a place for you to store your feelings, but to also see what you've accomplished. There is no right way to journal. Older sibling says it all the time. I don't know how to journal. There is no right way. There is no wrong way. You just do it. You do whatever brings you joy in that moment. Okay, if you want to draw pictures in there and color in it, do it. So anyways, let love flow through you today. Let the compassion and empathy, and I don't mean just for the world around you, I mean for yourself as well. Letting go of control that has kept you safe for years and years and years and years can be very, very difficult. It can be difficult because you are really kind of exposing yourself emotionally to a world that you have continually tried to protect yourself from. And most of the time, unnecessarily. We know how to deal with everyday situations, but whatever happened and whenever it happened made us build this wall. And it's time for those walls to come down. If you're not sure how you're going to do it well, find a very good support group, find a group, right? You know, and when I say support group, your friends, your family, you know, the people that you trust the most, ask them, look, I'm about to do this. Can you just kind of be in my corner, you know, and just make sure I don't spiral into the next millennia. Okay. But also you can look to professional help, which sometimes I know is expensive, but there are places that do things on a sliding scale. And there's also places that do it pro bono, you know, a lot of times for experience. So just try. Okay. All you have to do is take that first step. The first step is always the scariest because we don't know what to expect, but all you have to do is take that first step. So, the next one, this just doesn't feel right. Am I in my head or my heart? I don't know. That one doesn't feel like it's meant for us. Oh, you know, here's what I did. I literally just did this with this. I mean, the cards were flat and straight. They were flat and straight like this. And I just heard somebody say, do this. And this card, it showed up like that. How can I surrender even more in this moment? This card goes perfectly with what we were just talking about. The first step, right? See, if you don't believe in divinity and stuff like that, that's okay. If you don't believe in fate, all right, fate does not have a God. It might, but I don't know about it. But what's meant to be is going to come out. The universe knows. The universe knows, right? Like Johnny Carson. So anyways, how can I surrender even more in this moment? You know what? This is for sibling. So my dad and I were watching something and Johnny Carson came up. We were watching Forrest Gump, and you know, they show it where they're watching the TV and all that. And Dad says, you know, nighttime shows, like nighttime talk shows, they weren't my thing, but if I did watch one, it was always Johnny Carson. So there you go. So see, Johnny reached the masses. Thank you for your service, Mr. Carson, to the world. Anyways, how can I surrender even more in this moment? It is essential to have clear, strong intentions of what we desire, but it's equally important for us to detach from the outcome. It's time to surrender. Let the universe have some breathing room to work. Let go of the wheel and trust so deeply that your trust turns into gratitude for what you cannot see yet, but you know is coming. So today's soul action, know this so deeply that your soul vibrates. You are not alone. Your life has purpose, and the more you surrender, the more your higher power can produce miracles in your life. God, your higher power, whoever you turn your faith to, the more they can produce miracles in your life. So today's mantra, I surrender, I accept all that I cannot change, I release the outcome, and I joyfully trust the process. Trusting the process is so hard when you are learning how to let go of control. I'm still trying to get the hang of it, but I do these things for you guys. You know, I just kind of like, all right, you know, the Aloha Perspective needs me to walk this tightrope. No, that'll never happen. Unless it's laying on the ground. That's right. Not a foot above the ground, just laying on the ground. Although I would be curious if I could cross one. But I do not have the greatest balance. But and my butt kind of throws everything off. I know. I said it. I said it out loud. I did. Just like I said, I know now why God did not make me a blonde, because I'm not a very good blonde. But I'm owning it. I'm owning it right now, right? I'm just owning it right now because, to be honest with you, I think part of the reason I haven't colored my hair yet is because I'm waiting for Comic-Con, which is 2 weeks. It starts 2 weeks from tomorrow. Well, preview night does. I start 2 weeks from Thursday. And, so yeah. So anyways, but, yeah, I'm just trying to find the right colors also. Anyways, squirrel. See, this is how my brain works. But anyways, so see, if this is how your brain works too, don't be ashamed. All right. We generally get back there. You know, sometimes it takes a little more focus. Also, you know, I always thought it was dyslexic, but I was proofreading my story yesterday and it's just like, wow, it's not bad, but it's not great either. I'm just like, wow. Talk about having things confirmed. But there's a great book out there. I can't remember what it's called, but I have it at home. So if you guys remind me, I will share it because I'm going home tomorrow. I get to see my kitties and older sibling. And I don't mean to put her last, but I mean, I talk to her every day. I don't get to talk to the kitties. So I'm excited. But anyway, I know. You know, you guys all probably thought I was going to come on and talk about World Cup, didn't you? Yeah, because you know how I felt about that. I put that around social media, how I felt about yesterday's decision. Not about the game and losing it. Let's just say karma happens when you try to mess with things to be a hero when you're really not one. And you motivate the other team who's already really good to be even better. Dummies. Anyways, go England. And I guess Belgium. I know. It's sad, but my great-great-grandfather, no, not great-great, my great-grandfather and my great-great-grandfather with my grandfather as my great-grandfather as a child came to America from Belgium. So they're German, Belgian, French. But yeah, I told you guys, Buddy and I are the United Nations. I am freaking definitely the United. I'm my own NATO. So anyway, sorry, I'm squirreling hard this morning. I did not sleep well. I did not sleep very long last night. I slept well, but I did not sleep very long. So I'm just kind of like bing everywhere. But anyways, if you want to let go of control, you've got to trust the process. You've got to surrender to this moment. It isn't a request. It's a command. And I don't mean the kind of command that you go, yes, sir. I mean the kind of command that says, if you truly want to heal whatever it is that has hurt you, you have got to learn to trust the process. It is scary as shit. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sugarcoat the words. If you don't know what to expect, because your whole life you've been controlling everything, right? You've been sitting there going, no, because that might, you think about every scenario that might happen when it's probably nowhere near the one. I was watching Warehouse 13 last night, and one of the characters has been diagnosed with an illness, and she kept trying to picture every which way her work partner was going to react. And she didn't want to tell him because she didn't want to hurt him, right? And what did he do when she finally told him? He hugged her. Not any of the scenarios that she had thought up, because a lot of times we play things out in our head and we overthink them to infinity, and we shouldn't be. I made my healing journey much harder than I needed to, because while I'm trying to let go and surrender to the moment, I was still secretly trying to contain it and control it. And that's not possible. That's why healing is hard, because you have to trust the process. You have to let go. That doesn't mean you can't protect your boundaries. Boundaries are yours to set however you want to set them. But in order to let go of whatever it is that you've been through, you can't keep going around it. You can't keep jumping it. The only way through is, the only way out is through. The only way out is through. And you have to move through it to heal it. And it can be scary and it can be hard, which is why sometimes I suggest that you have professional help. And again, I know it can be pretty expensive if your insurance doesn't cover it. So find a very strong support group. Find people you trust, that you care about, that you know won't judge you. And, you don't have to dump everything on them all at once. Older sibling, or just even ask your higher power. Please send me somebody that I know I can listen to and I can trust. My inbox is open to any of you. I kind of got burned by the last person I tried to help, through my other work thing. But I realized in that moment that even though I had a success rate up until then, I can't help people that won't help themselves. And it's not that I don't want to help them. It's just I know how scary and how hard it can be. And that sometimes whatever it is that we're holding on to makes a better crutch than it does a weapon to push through all this stuff. To whack away at the weeds of pain and the cobwebs of sorrow. It was not a journey for the faint of heart. However, coming through to the other side, it was well worth it. Think of it as being like the butterfly. When you start your healing journey, you are the caterpillar in the cocoon. You're turning yourself into a pile of goo, which sometimes can just be anger and sadness and joy and tears and pain all at once. But as you're moving through, as you're facing the things that have hurt you, you are pushing through like the butterfly, and you are making yourself stronger. Sometimes in my weak moments, I look back and think, wow, that was hard. And what I'm facing now is not that hard. So, get to it. But like I said, I do strongly suggest, if you're going to take a deep dive and it's very, very bad, if you can, look into all your options for professional help, and like I said, I know intake can be a little bit difficult because, sometimes you just want to get started. And I tell this story often that when I was finally ready to start my healing journey and face everything that I had been through, I just started rambling during my, first intake session. She's like, whoa, wait. But she was nice enough to put me in, she was supposed to, well, she fit me in. She squeezed me into her very last appointment on that Friday. And because she knew, she's all, you are definitely ready. She's all, I will put you in as my last appointment. And it's like, okay, thank you. And she did. And I am pretty positive that that appointment time did not exist because it was almost nighttime. So yeah. And so to Kimberly, I thank you. She started me on the journey. She started me on the path to healing, and she gave me a safe space to do it. And like I said, if you cannot afford professional help, try to find a support group. If you can't find a support group that really feels supportive, find your people, find your tribe. Just people who are going to listen and help, work you through it, but who also aren't just going to feed you a load of bullshit to get you out of your hair, because that's not support. Or their hair. That's not support. You need people who are going to be honest with you, but also who are going to be compassionate and kind and loving. And a lot of times that's why I do suggest the professional help, because again, it is a safe space for you to work out whatever it is that you are going through. Okay. For anybody starting on their healing journey, or anybody in the middle of it, or even those who are done with it, you're in my thoughts. And like I said, my inbox is open. But remember, you have to be willing to do the work. And it's scary. And I wasn't willing to do the work for a long time. But once I was, and once I really kind of jumped into it, feet first, without looking, it was scary. It was scary. I have a very specific way that I describe my first month in that therapy session with Kim. And I won't share it right now because, I don't want to scare anyone off, but it's how I personally felt. But at the same time, I always say I would do it again. I would do it again because I'm here now and I'm doing what I can with what I've learned to help other people move through whatever is hurting them. All right. So I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Please, please, please take care of yourselves. And like I said, just go out and buy a journal. You can even buy one of these at the grocery store. I know, right? Or just a thing of loose leaf paper if you don't like a journal. I'm telling you, I have every writing tool on the planet. I have 2 bags of pen and a cup of pens over there. Literally, and this isn't even my house. Okay, this is not where I live. It's my dad's house. And these are just pens I've accumulated. So, and my traveling pens that I always go with, There's this one, and then this one's kind of like when I bring the backpack. This one is when I bring the purse. So, and they're all filled with pens and the journals. So, it doesn't matter what you're writing in or what you're, even if it's your computer or your phone, up and out is the better way to do it. If it makes you cry, it's okay. It's okay. That means it's healing you. You're healing. You're facing things that have scared you and have hurt you. But again, please, please, please make sure that you have a good support group in place. For the most part, despite having a good support group and therapy, I had to do a lot of this on my own. And I think that was because I tend to depend on people too much, or I did used to depend on people too much for, to get me through things, because I wasn't able to carry myself, but I learned how to carry myself. And I still have a support group that helps carry me through while I'm also cognizant about the fact that they're helping me and I do the work as well. So you can do this. I believe in you. Just let go of control. Embrace the flexibility, surrender to the moment, and take that first step and trust the process. Have a great day.